Here live with us in the studio, Mr. Carl Jeffers. Good morning, Mr. Jeffers.
Good to be here, Don. Great to see you in person today.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good.
Look pretty good, as I said earlier, but I also mentioned not to dress up for...
No, I didn't dress up. Well, I always try to look presentable. That's how I was raised.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about your mom who just recovered from cancer surgery.
Yeah, she had a great recovery from cancer surgery. So good, in fact, that they don't have to do radiation. So we're just dealing with that, and that kind of interrupted some of my watching of Sarah Palin. I know she had a little problem with the Bush doctrine, but other than that, actually, she didn't really do that badly.
Really?
Not really that badly, and the Bush doctrine, a lot of people have forgotten about it, so she won't lose a lot of points for something that people didn't know to begin with.
Well, the Bush doctrine is that we have the right to attack people.
Oh, I know what it is. I
know you do. I'm just explaining.
Okay.
I'm explaining almost to myself is that we have, in his view, we have the right to attack people if we just think they're going to attack us.
I made the point in the 2004 campaign that we should be mindful of the fact that that should be an issue that the voters should be voting on as a referendum, whether or not they feel comfortable with something that the founding fathers clearly did not see as the mission of America. But, the voters said that that's not our important issue. We want to be able to barbecue with them on Saturday and feel comfortable with that. So
the bumper sticker on my pickup truck, my F-150, says, "Vote for McCain, hope he doesn't die."
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, if he were to win, I believe that he would serve one term. And I think that that is something. That's one of the reasons why I thought for the Republicans, a McCain-Colin Powell ticket would have been the strongest ticket that they could have offered, just as I thought for the Democrats. I thought the strongest ticket that they had would have been Hillary Clinton for president and Barack Obama for vice president. And then I thought that esoterically, a campaign of McCain-Powell versus Clinton-Obama would have been a great political discussion and choice for the American people.
Why do you suppose Senator Obama didn't pick Senator Clinton?
Oh, I have argued this point for months, and my assessment was that the close-knit group that runs the Obama campaign, along with Barack Obama himself at the head of that, had a calculation that if they could calculate that they could win this election without Hillary Clinton, they did not want her on the ticket. But if they calculated that they could not win the election without Hillary Clinton, they wouldn't take no for an answer. The problem was the logistics. It was the week of the Democratic convention when the polls started to come in showing McCain tightening all over the country and closing the gap. And then, in addition to that, the Republicans had the opportunity to pick their candidate right after the Democrats were finished, which is, as you know, the Republicans tend to have the second convention because the Democrats tend to lose in the national elections and the party in power gets to go last. And so that worked out well for them. And I think that had the polls started tightening several weeks before Denver and showing particularly the vulnerabilities that Obama has among women, I mean, 23% of Hillary Clinton female supporters were saying that they were not only not supporting Obama, but we're going to vote for John McCain. That number won't hold, but if it holds to 10 or 12%, given the other problems that he's got in the country, race, blue-collar, working-class families, and evangelicals and others, that's a serious problem for him. And I think that had that been clear several weeks before, they might have rethought it. But giving the notion of the Democratic convention timing-wise, at that point, they still felt that it was pretty clear to them. I mean, they were looking at an electoral map where they were now picking off Montana, Virginia, Georgia. I think they're going to pull some of that money out there because now, as I've said along, I don't think the electoral map's going to be reshaped this year. I think Montana's still going to be Republican. Virginia, maybe by 3 or 4 points, is still going to be Republican. And I think Georgia, even with Bob Barr, is still going to be Republican. And the Democrats have to concentrate on making sure they don't lose any areas where Barack Obama is vulnerable, like in rural Ohio and in the rural parts of Pennsylvania.
Is race still part of the race? I know we're not much talk about it, but it's there, isn't it?
Oh, I'm so glad you phrased it that way because one of the points I've made the last few weeks, and particularly as the Sarah Palin candidacy has sort of wiped off everything else in terms of the press and media coverage, the fact that race has receded as a discussion topic, only, in fact, emboldens people who, in fact, are making a decision based on race because they're not being confronted that often with the notion of the guilt aspect of it or how you should be treating or ignoring race. So if they're left comfortably to just deal with it, then they can just comfortably go into the booth and make their decision based on race. I mean, that's a point I've been trying to hammer home the last few weeks.
Yeah, Tony Powell, who's part of the cast of this program, is African-American. He has been saying since before we went on the air last November, he said there will be a significant number of people who will say they're going to vote for Senator Obama, go into a polling booth and not. But
well, the poll showed about 2 months ago that 3 out of 10 American voters considered race to be a factor in their vote. And I said at the time that means the actual number is closer to 4 out of 5 if the 3 can be believed. And if that's the case, then clearly it's a problem. And you know that I've said this on your show. I've been hearing all the criticisms from some of your other guests this morning about Barack Obama and his tissue paper and all that. He is very smart. He's very bright. He has a great future, and he could be a great president. My reason for supporting Hillary Clinton back in the fall and in the spring had nothing to do with Barack Obama and everything to do with the fact that I did not want a situation where we're sitting around the dinner table at Thanksgiving talking about how wonderful it was that Barack came so close. And I felt that because of the issue of race and the issue of leadership and experience, which is coming back now as a cover for people who don't want to acknowledge race, they can say, I'd love to vote for an African-American. I just don't think he's ready yet because of experience. When you put the first African-American up for president of the United States, he can't have any other vulnerabilities. He's got to be perfect because that's how it is in the corporate world the higher you go. And you can't expect an exception for the presidency. And as a result, with that kind of consideration, I felt Hillary was the stronger candidate in November to win. And not because she was a better candidate than Barack, but she did have more experience in leadership, demonstrated capabilities, and that would eliminate that problem. But she had other baggage, which she knew how to deal with, but she didn't have the race baggage. I gave a speech earlier this week, and everyone was talking about, well, Jack Kennedy did this, and I pointed out one thing we forget: Jack Kennedy was white, which was of some benefit to him, during the campaign in 1960. and the other thing is that Jack Kennedy in 1956, with the encouragement of his dad, ran for vice president to position himself 4 years later.
Yes, sir.
I don't believe in the very beginning that Barack Obama thought that they would win. I think he entered just like every other candidate. We're in it to win it, and they know full well that they won't. But somewhere along the way, his message of hope and change caught fire, and the Hillary message that she was touting at the time of experience, proven leadership, that flame kind of blew out. And so Barack just sort of moved with that flow.
Sure.
I'm trying to make sure I'm not just two questions today, so I'm watching you closely.
If we didn't like you, we wouldn't keep inviting you back.
Well, I'm delighted to join you.
We've got about a minute left here. What happens if Senator Obama gets more votes, popular votes, but loses in the electoral? Which is possible?
I think that's very unlikely. My prediction for the election is that if it's a landslide, and by my definition for this year, a landslide would be 8 points or more, that only Barack Obama can win that. I do not think John McCain has the capability of winning in a landslide. If this election is close, 3 points or less, I believe John McCain is your next president, because if it's 3 points or less, given all of the indicators that should give the Democrats a 12 to 15-point lead, it means that race was much bigger of an issue than we imagined, and it superseded even the economy and the unpopularity of the war for many voters. And so on that basis, I don't see him winning the popular vote and not winning the electoral college. In fact, I see it the other way around. John McCain could be the spoiler in terms of the electoral vote situation. And incidentally, I think Sarah Palin was a brilliant choice for the Republicans. And let me give you one last script here. That Hollywood would take this script and throw it out because, number one, she was a woman. That's a situation that he didn't do right by not having Hillary Clinton. Number two, she's a working mom with 5 kids. Number three, she's a governor. Governors make it to the White House far more successfully than senators do. Number four, she's not only a working mom, she had a child born with special needs 4 months ago, and she went back to work the next day. Number five, she's got a son ready to leave for Iraq and left yesterday. You put all those 5 things together, any director would tell you, get out of my office. We can't create a character with that many attributes to run. And she's relating to the American people. And the more Barack Obama engages her, and McCain, rather than trying to engage McCain and link him to George Bush, every day he does that is the day that McCain and Palin win that particular day, and we only have 60 left.